This is a huge concept, and it works when one is managing one's personal brand. And I mean by managing your personal brand, I mean making sure that people know what you're doing and that you get credit for it, but also making sure that you don't waste time. You know these people. They are the people in your company who send 4, 5, 6 paragraph emails with included charts and graphs. Maybe they took a moment in Visio to draw a diagram, and they sent it out to a distribution list with 12 people. Okay? They basically wrote a page of a book with illustrations, and they sent it to a mailing list of 12 people. There is a finite number of keystrokes left in your hands until you die. You can measure it. Tell me how old you are. Let's assume you live to be 80 before you get arthritis and you get trigger finger like I'd have. And then you will no longer be able to type. Then we'll figure that you'll be typing at 100 words a minute for 40 hours a week until you're 80, and I'll give you a number that'll be a big number in the millions, and it'll tell you that's how many keystrokes you have. Now, the next time you sit down and start typing, ask yourself, is this the right keystroke? Is this the most effective keystroke? Are these 5 people the people that need to get this information? Does this belong in a blog? Does it belong in a wiki? Does it belong in a SharePoint? You guys, the .NET people around may know Tess Ferrandez, who's a very master Swedish ASP.NET debugger. Why is she known? Why is she a legend? It's because one day she got tired of answering emails, and she decided to answer them on her blog. And then fast forward 5 years later, and she has this amazing blog with all of these common questions. Her blog is a living, breathing, frequently asked questions. And she says, oh, well, I've solved that. Here, take that. And she's taken it so far as to not just have quotes on her, information on her blog about how she solved problems in the text. She's even included labs so that she can say, oh, you're having this debugging problem? Here, I've put together a lab. Unzip this file and follow the lab. In 20 minutes, you'll know how to solve the problem yourself. Absolutely brilliant. She's conserving her keystrokes. We have this problem at Microsoft. It's obnoxious. 5 paragraphs, that's too much. Email is somewhere between chat and writing a book. And if you're writing a book on email, remember that that's just going to go into the ether. No one's going to read it. Those 5 people that you worked so hard to educate, they don't care. Put it on the internet. Put it on the internet, for God's sake. I worked in online banking for 7 years. And you may say, well, I'm working in an industry that I can't blog about these things. You can. The problems that you're having are typically algorithmic or can be done in some way that doesn't involve letting the client know that you're putting their information out there. You can change the names of the innocent. I blogged for 7 years about problems of large system scale, and no one ever complained. And now I've got 7 years worth of archives on my blog, and now I can Google with Bing myself on my blog. Learn to conserve your keystrokes. Very, very important. Find a trusted source to put information that comes in and put it there. Because one of the things that people worry about is they say, well, I'm going to start losing stuff. You're saying that I can drop packets, but ultimately there are packets that you don't want to drop. We all have this drawer, I think. Find a trusted source, pick one location per medium, and put things there. Even something as simple as buying an actual inbox can be a very cathartic experience. The idea that you would just bring your mail in and you'd put it in the inbox and then you'd have your outbox. That's a very powerful thing, the idea to move your life's work through a simple assembly line is very powerful. Pick a location, whether it be to-do.txt or some of the tools that I'll show you in a little bit, and make sure that it's open all the time, that it's available all the time, that it's pervasive. That if an idea strikes and you're worried it's going to drop, that you have the ability to capture that idea at any time, all the time, 24 hours a day. Have that with you at all times. Another thing you can do is schedule work sprints. You can have a personal scrum. And this is a really great way to do things. Have a personal scrum. I personally like to sprint, an hour at a time. Sometimes I do 3-hour sprints. But a really interesting technique that Scott Bellware and Chris Hughes talked to me about was this notion of the Pomodoro technique. Is anyone here using the Pomodoro technique? You guys like it? You raise your hands. You're probably still using it. This takes an egg timer, a kitchen timer, a little tomato timer. Pomodoro is Italian for tomato. And says, all right, a unit of work is 25 minutes. You do your work for 25 minutes, set a timer. Timer ticks, you do your work, and you do nothing but your work. The challenge of the Pomodoro technique is that you focus for 25 minutes. And you would be surprised how hard it is to focus for 25 minutes. I find it hard to focus for 10. Alt-tab, oh, crap, I'm looking at Twitter. I don't even know who did that. Was this hand? What are you doing, hand? Why have you all tabbed Twitter? I didn't ask for that. 25 minutes, you focus. Then you stop when the thing goes ding. And then you take 5 minutes and you take a break. You do a couple of these units of time, a couple of Pomodoros, and then you take a half an hour break. And then you do all of your scheduling this way. And they say that it's an incredibly powerful way to schedule your day. The guy that designed the Pomodoro technique says that the real objective here is to, right there in the third line, be aware of the number and type of internal interruptions. All those little Lego heads represent all the little voices in your head that are telling you, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. That's why you keep that trusted source around. Oh, I got to pick up the dry cleaning. Write it down. Keep working. Just stop. Just write it down. Keep working. Phone rings. Don't answer. Get it later. Schedule a Pomodoro. Schedule a sprint when you will answer your phone calls, when you will call and get a new rate on your car insurance, when you will do whatever. You're here to work on this task right now, like write a keynote. Focus on that. It doesn't matter who chats you. Turn off all the different lights and flashing bells and things that could potentially interrupt you. And be aware of them. The internal ones are the tough ones. You actually, in the Pomodoro technique, are asked to keep track of your own internal interruptions. And this is really difficult because when you're all alone and the work is there and the loneliness hits you, when you're all alone, they actually want you to put a little tick mark to say, I interrupted myself. I'm going to be honest. And I had a moment and I went to the BBC and I interrupted myself, tick. And then you can go back and look at these logs and say, wow, I have a tendency to. And this is the introspection aspect of things. You can't really accomplish anything if you're trying to be more efficient and more effective unless you're measuring. So the number one thing that I think is interesting about the Pomodoro technique is the conscious, forced awareness of both internal interruptions. I'm really good at this, by the way. And external interruptions. This is external interruptions like, all of those social media sites, or this guy. These things can be pushed off, and then you can mark them off, and you can find out, wow, I'm being interrupted at the same time every day. I need to schedule for that. I need to be aware of that. And think about the sense of your workflow and the principles of flow within your life, remembering that the important things will find you. The idea that something is really going to happen, and if you don't do it at that moment, and if you miss it, that's the end, and you'll never have that opportunity again, is really not true in the everyday work life. Stay in your flow. Really focus on being wrapped up in that item, whatever that thing it is. That you try to find that sense of the zone. Get excited. I struggled with this keynote for a week. And I sat down and I thought about this Pomodoro technique and I thought about what I was trying to say and I shut everything off and I shut off Twitter. Oh my God, I can't believe I shut off Twitter. Yeah, his face getting the scratchies. Oh God, Twitter. And it was the worst 5 minutes of my life. And then I started, and then I got into the flow, and then I was running downhill, just like a little kid, right? You're running downhill, and what's the number one thing to remember when you're running downhill as a little child? Don't think about your feet. Because if you're running downhill, I'm going, so I'm flying, Mom, I'm flying. Oh, my feet, boom, and you're good. Just stay in the flow. Think about that thing that's capturing your attention. Those things, that emails, those texts, they won't worry about it. Delete the emails, Michael, that you haven't read. People will send it again. Now, multitasking is a little bit of a trick here because they say that the optimal number of threads in any system is 1, right? And there's really nothing that humans can do short of walking and chewing gum at the same time. Everything else is just really obnoxious task switching. But there are some kinds of multitasking that I think are feasible. And these are tricks that can get you an extra 20 minutes, an extra hour a day, if they in fact resonate with you. Techniques like working out and listening to podcasts. Emailing on the toilet. Very exciting. Commuting on a train and reading at the same time. One of the things that I've been trying lately is a tool that reads my email to me. So I can be driving, I call a phone number, and it reads my email. I'm not actually responding, but I'm just kind of getting a sense of what's going on in the flow of the day. It's no different than listening to the radio when I'm driving. Utilize that idle time, that waiting time. If there are podcasts or languages you want to learn or techniques you want to hear about, keep those things with you. You would be surprised how often people say, gosh, Scott, I don't know how you're so productive. And it's like, well, I went and had my oil changed today and I was sitting in the waiting room with no internet for like 2 hours, but darn it, I happened to have a book with me, or I had a podcast, and I used that. How much time do you spend staring blankly into space, waiting, that could be used to do something else? We all have that stack of books there. Kathy Sierra made this wonderful info diagram about this stack of books. I have the stack of books. To realize that you'll actually read this much that week can also be a very powerful thing. Take those other books and schedule them somewhere else. Don't set unreasonable expectations for yourself, because all it'll do is create pangs of guilt throughout the process. You have that sense of, one day I'm just going to buckle down and I'm really going to make it happen. But if you just get rid of the stack, you won't have that sense. Another realization is that you cannot simultaneously be up on all of these things. As much as I want to know all the names of all the contestants on America's Next Top Model, and I do, I realize that it's an unreasonable goal. I can't know all about these things at the same time. So how can I stay current on them? I care about them. They are wasteful, but they are important to me. I don't want to sell my soul for this. So what I've been doing is finding someone else to do the work for me. I'm not saying that I would actually hire someone, but find someone whose full-time job is to be enthusiastic about these things. That way I don't have to go looking for them. Let someone else do the aggregation for you. Go through your news feed. If you're reading more than one news site, then that's too many news sites. If another 9/11 happens, or another 11/9, I'm not sure how you guys do that here. I was telling someone, I think it was a German guy, how much 9/11 affected me, and he was like, yeah, man, November 9th really tore me up too. And so when the Berlin Wall came down. If it happens again, someone will tell you. If there's anything that you need to know, find someone. If you want to learn about some new thing, if you want to sit down and learn Clojure or Erlang, you could just crack open a book and power through it, or you could call your favorite neighborhood Erlang expert and ask them, what do I need to know? What should I know? What's nice to know? What should I ignore? The amount of time spent by simply asking an expert about a little bit of framing knowledge about what I can do can make life a lot easier. Some of the things that I do to keep up on technology, because that's something that's important to me, is rather than looking in 15 other places, I go to a blog like Engadget, which aggregates those things. It is their full-time job to do that stuff for me. And Boing Boing, which is just silly and fun, cool videos and things. Again, they scour the web. I don't have to. Lifehacker. Between those three sites, I pretty much got my main interest. If you're into knitting, or if you're into making little sushi boxes for your kids' lunch, there is a blog that is the central location of all knowledge on the internet about that thing. Realize that you aren't the central knowledge of that particular thing, and let them do the work for you. And that is really a significant thing. It may sound like an easy statement, but really audit your input and streamline it. Now, tools. Here are some of the tools that I use, and you've got to ask yourself, are these the right tools for the job? To-do.txt is nice because it's portable and it's basic, but there are other things that you could potentially think about using. And I really believe this is a quote by me, that you really can't cut something unless you measure it. A lot of decisions are made based on your gut rather than based on true measuring. And as a programmer, you might find that you'll talk to another programmer and they'll say, yeah, we don't really use a profiler. I mean, I pretty much can eyeball that for loop, and those 6 for loops that are all nested right there, yeah, they're cool. Don't worry about it. You're like, oh my God, this guy's not profiling. But you won't profile your own life. People won't actually put that same attention to measuring and profiling into their own life experience. This is a really great tool called Rescue Time. This is an amazing little widget that sits down, and it basically, I know it's going to creep you out, watches everything you do, and then sends it in aggregate up to a server. It's private information, so no one's going to see what you're doing. And I actually, of course I put what I'm doing here. I put up, just to be honest with you guys, very distracting time by hour. This is a day, no, this is a Sunday, and I can see when I was doing stuff that was just completely useless. And they've got this huge database of sites and programs that are categorized. I can see, this website, news and opinion general, this website, entertainment general, and then they'll classify it. Is it productive or not productive? It's fair to say that the Zune website is qualified as very distracting. So I get, -2 points for that. They're handling that for me, and then they're making a nice little chart to show me what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. I can see that between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. is not a productive time for me. I should be sleeping, instead I'm dicking around on the internet. And then between 4 p.m. and 10, I was kind of on and off the net. Again, not really doing anything particularly useful. Now, this is a Sunday, so I'll give myself a pass on this one. But if this were a weekday, this would tell me a lot that I really didn't get a damn thing done. Then I can go and say, well, show me my very productive times by day. This gives you a sense of the natural ebb and flow of your own life, and you can say that, so look at Monday. This is a week here. This is Sunday through Monday. What do you think happened on Monday? Any guesses what happened to me last Monday? I got my appendix out. So at this point here, I was in the emergency room. At this point, I was in recovery, still surfing the web. And then fully recovered by Wednesday, so I was feeling pretty good. This is a true story. I was literally, it was like, ow, explosive appendix. Oh, feeling much, Valium, thank you. That was pretty much how my week went. By measuring this, I can learn about what are the things that are my bad habits. This is really intense introspective self-analysis. Where are the sites that I keep going to that I really shouldn't be going to? Another technique that you can use is called 43 folders. These are called ticklers. This is the idea that there's something that I'm going to need to be reminded of. And I don't really have a way to be reminded of that. Maybe it's a physical thing. I'll give you an example. Michael sends me a ticket to get here. He emails it to me. I could file that away somewhere, but I've got to think about, I've got a bunch of tasks associated with that. Get a map of Malmo and learn about Sweden, and I've got a bunch of stuff. So I actually printed that out, and I put it in one of my 43 folders. What these folders are is it's 12 folders for the months, and 31 folders, one for each day. You put all of the current days in the front, so this is the 6th, so I would have 6, starting with 6, 6, 7, 8, da-da-da-da-da-da. Then I would have, is this November? This is November? Are you sure? November, okay. So I'd have from the 6th through up to, I have then November, December rather, the next month, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'd have all the rest of the months. So it's a circular buffer that you've got of 43 folders, and you just stick them all in a container. And I receive the ticket maybe in August, and I just pick it up, and I drop it in October, because that's when I was going to start thinking about it, and then I forget about it. The psychic weight is gone. But there's a piece of paper there, and when the buffer comes around each day, I pick up that day, I put it in the back, the next day comes forward, I open it up, and I see what is there for me that day. And then the ticket shows up, and I go, I'm going to Malmo, I need to do these things, da-da-da-da-da. Really, really powerful physical way to take those things like, I must do this thing in 3 months, and here's a piece of paper, I must pay that bill, I must go to court, I must do whatever and pay that ticket. Stick it in these physical folders. There's no better way to keep track of future, near future items than the 43 folders technique. In all of this electronics and stuff, I still like the idea of syncing to paper. Syncing to paper. People have gone, how do you sync your Gmail and your Outlook? And then when you sync your Gmail and your Outlook, do you have a cron job that goes to your iCal? And then, no. Sometimes when I am at life's lowest ebb, I pull out my either this one here or I've got a larger Moleskine. I use these sizes. There's the middle one that most people use, but I find that one kind of either too big or too small. So this one's with me all the time to just jot down random things that I think about, phone numbers, whatever. It also is really nice because you can rip a piece of paper off. It is actually already ripped for you. It's already serrated. And then this one is where my presentation is, in there, and other things that I'm working on. Sometimes you just can't get your life together with to-do.txt, so I really encourage people to think about sync to paper. And this actually right here is interesting. This is called a hipster PDA. This is the only PDA that doesn't require batteries. If you go to DIY Planner, go and search for DIY Planner, Do It Yourself Planner, and you can actually print out your own PDA. You can design it any way you want, and then just clip it, and boom, you've got a personal organizer, and this is huge. It's a very visceral thing. This person's very organized. If you only want one piece of paper, you can go to pocketmod.com. You can use a Flash applet to design your own one page. And this guy's got this amazing deal where it's a 1 A4 sheet of paper. You cut one cut in the middle, and you fold the whole thing up, and it turns into a book like this, an actual book. folded out of a single piece of paper. Print one of those out each week, boom, you've got this, and you don't have to pay for it. Very, very valuable stuff. One of the other valuable bits of information was not to write things down that you'll never read again. Unless it provides you value. A lot of people write stuff down, they never refer to their notes. Having that schedule of reflection is really important. There's a good friend of mine named J.D. Meyer who has a blog about effectiveness and efficiency, and he says that at the beginning of the week you should write down the 3 or 4 things that you really want to get done that week. That's great, but it's only great if you look on Friday and you ask yourself, did I actually do those things? Have that time, that reflection. That David Allen says that going through your backlog and deciding what's going on. I write things down, but I'm always looking here to make sure that I haven't forgotten something, because that's kind of the reason that I wrote it down in the first place. Another tool that I use is called Evernote. Anyone use Evernote? Such a great program. Let me show you why Evernote is wonderful. Evernote is wonderful for a number of reasons. It's completely cross-platform, which means it runs on anything. Any device that you have, it runs on that device. There's iPhone's version, there's Windows Mobile version, there's Mac version, there's Linux version, they have it all. So it's everywhere that you need to be. It's synced into the cloud. It's free unless you use obnoxious amounts of information. And one of the most wonderful things about it is that it allows me to take photographs. It'll send them up there. So I take a picture with my phone. And then I can go over here. And it will actually find text in a picture. So this means that I can do things like this. Isn't that cool? That's my train ticket. I don't know why I took a picture of it, but I just thought it might be cool. So I just typed in OERS and it found the text. Taking pictures of Wi-Fi passwords at hotels, tickets, parking, where you parked, those things are all great. But being able to actually search for that information as text and see it, and they'll show you where it appears, is amazing. I've been taking pictures of all the different pieces of paper that I might need while I'm here, because this is my trusted source. I could write it down, that's cool, but this was in a way that I needed it to be. It was everywhere at all times. Another tool I use is called Remember the Milk. Remember the Milk is a great tool because it is also everywhere that you need. They're trying to make the barrier to you getting information into them very low. There are applications for all of your phones. There are mobile websites. There are even bookmarklets. So if I went to a particular website, I've got a Remember the Milk button that is always there in my browser, and I can just click, type something, dude, and add task, and it's there. And it's synced in the cloud. So my Remember the Milk appears on my phone. It's everywhere. This is a great, Remember the Milk is the best replacement for to-do.txt. So if you get nothing from this presentation, take a look at rememberthemilk.com and think about replacing your to-do.txt. Now, on the rules information, use rules. It's amazing how many people will blindly waste half an hour just clicking and deleting and clicking and archiving. Tell me that you'll take a half an hour of your day, one time, and think about the kinds of information that come into your inbox and make a couple of rules. If you make no other rules other than inbox stuff is only for messages that came to me, and make another folder for CCs, that I think would make this keynote worth your time. This is my, and I haven't checked my email since I've been in Sweden, so that's why I've got there's so many emails in my inbox. I apologize for having such a huge number of emails in my inbox. I've got my inbox CC'd. Think about this for a second. I would have over 200, nearly 300 emails. But where should I spend my time initially, right? When I get on the plane, I'll go into my inbox. Those things are probably more important. This CC'd stuff, probably not that important. If you have an email, this is another powerful thing. If you work in a large enterprise or a corporation, if you have an email system that allows you to detect whether or not an email was sent internally or externally, you want to really blow your mind? Make a separate inbox for external email. Again, totally change the way you think about email coming in. Very likely emails that are internal, depending on your business, are more important than external. Or if your business is the other way, then you want to flip it. But categorizing Mail to you, mail CC'd, and external mail is really powerful. I'd even go so far as to make one for invites. All of my calendar invites go into one folder. Makes life a lot easier, and then once a day I go decline, 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 decline. I also, just as an aside, use the getting things done method to keep track of things. So in that list of do it, delegate it, defer it, I'll put in actions. So I've got 6 actions right now. Things to blog, which isn't really urgent. Things to do the next time I drive to Redmond, because I don't live near Microsoft. Things that I might want to podcast about. Things to read, things to reply to, and then things to follow up on. So these are people that I have delegated large amounts of information to, and I'm waiting for them to do it. Think about this. How many items in my action? 6. How many items am I waiting for other people to do? 81. Delegate. That's what a really good, really effective manager gets other people to do work for them. You can also call this playing hot potato. You guys play hot potato here? You heard about that? When they give you like a potato out of the oven and then you just throw it at somebody and they go, hot! Ugh. Right? We do a similar kind of thing in Microsoft called flaming potato, where anything that comes in your inbox you immediately forward to someone else. And the perception that you're getting a lot of work done is there. One other thing that you can do as I close to make life a little bit more effective is to think about, are there hacks that you could do to your life? Spend some time at lifehacker.com. It's a great collection. There's also lifehacks.org. This is an interesting life hack. This is a list of all of these objects here that can fit into one Altoids tin. And then that Altoids tin is your Altoids survival tin. You take a weekend, you throw all this stuff into it, and you stick that Altoids survival tin into your glove compartment of your car, and then you've got all those things that you could need in an emergency. These are things that are simple, discreet, not really intuitive, but very effective. And then ask yourself, if it's not helping me secure business, money, fame, love, happiness, it's mental clutter and it's out. Most powerful thing in your arsenal of being effective and efficient is the delete key. So, take a look at your sources. What's coming at you? Why is it coming at you? Did you opt in? Did you choose to receive all of this information, or can you turn it off? Turn off distractions when you're working and think about scheduling sprints. Triage your inbox and ask yourself, why are these emails coming to me? Where did they come from? Why are they coming? Do I really need to see them, and how can I make them stop? Because how do you scale, right? We're all software engineers here. What's the best way to scale any system to large sizes? The way you scale is to do a little bit, a lot. You want to be as effective as possible. The less you do, the more of it you can do. Right? If you have a system that's doing a lot, it's talking to a lot of databases, get it to do less, and then it'll serve more pages. If you can do nothing, you can do it infinitely. Oh, my brain just exploded. Thank you very much for indulging me today for this keynote, and feel free to email me or follow me on Twitter.
Thank you. Fantastic keynote.